Once you have your pizza cutter done, you should have created an assembly file and be ready to create your drawing and exploded view. So ultimately you will have something that looks very similar to this with labels very similar to this. So uh, first thing that you're going to do, and I have mine mostly done here, we're going to open up our assembly file for the pizza cutter itself. Having the assembly file open will actually help you load stuff up a little bit quicker, but I'm going to go ahead and click on New, and I'm going to create a presentation file first. Once I've created the presentation file and loaded it up, it's going to ask me what assembly file do I want to use. This is the first thing we're going to do to create an exploded view. So I'm going to use my assembled pizza cutter, open this up, and then we're going to start exploding the parts or separating the parts using the Tweak Components tool. Now, I don't really want to move these on an axis going this way or going this way. I only want to move them up and down because they all share the same axis through this circle right here. So I'm just going to move these parts away a little bit, and I'm going to move this one. I don't want to click the OK button up here until I'm finished, because then I'll have to go back and tweak components. But just like this, I can sit here and move these pieces away. Now they don't have to be super far away, just enough to see that they're separated. And then these two pieces don't have to be moved. Once you're done with that, hit OK, go to File, Save As, and save it as pizza, in this case exploded. This is like the 7th time I've done it, so mine will be pizza exploded 7. Yours will probably be the first one. So once you do that, you can hit OK. The next thing that you can do is you can either create drawing view from here, or you can go to New and then go to the drawing file right here. So it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and create it from here. Create the standard file, hit OK. Yours might ask you, do you want to make changes to the parts, hit yes to all, and then hit OK. If it doesn't and it just loads up, that's fine. So it's giving me my exploded view that we're going to place over here. The first exploded view is going to be a non-shaded item, so it's going to be basically just black and white. So we want to make sure that shaded is turned off. Now right now it's going to show shaded, but when I actually place it, it will be in black and white. And we also want to change the scale to 1:1 because we're going to have enough room for it to be full size. If we were running out of room, we would either scale it down, or if the part was really big or really small and we need to be able to see it a little easier, we would scale it up. And so scaling up would be in this direction, scaling down would be this direction. So we'll leave it at 1:1, so it's a pretty decent size. And then what we need to do is find a view that matches the one that I had in the drawing. And I think this is the view that will do it. So this view should look like the one that we had from the drawing. Pretty close. You might separate your parts a little bit differently, and that's okay. I'm going to move this around, kind of get it set, and I'm going to put it right here. Once I have it in place, hit OK, and you'll see that it is now just a black and white drawing. The next thing that we want to do is place the parts list for it. Now the parts list can be found under the Annotate tab, along with what we're going to be doing for the next portion, which is the bubble detailing. So first, we click on parts list, and it's asking us where is the assembly file that we're going to be using for this. Well, mine's already in here. You might have to browse for yours and find it, but mine's here. You go to your BOM view, and you change it. We just want the parts list. And then we leave table wrapping on left, and we enable automatic wrap. And you hit OK. It's going to give you a text box to place. Don't lock the text box to the side. Don't lock it down here at the bottom. Place it around here, kind of below the actual drawing. And if you zoom in, you'll see that it has my parts named, what I named them. So this is where if you named your parts something that you shouldn't have, name them random stuff, you're going to have to change that at some point. It also gives you the quantity for how many parts of that type have been used to create this object. So we have that there. Now we want to label the item numbers on this so that we can match them up with their actual part name. And you do that by going up here to the balloon option, and you can click on here. Now the first click is a left click, the second click is a left click, and basically the last place that you left clicked, when you hit the right click button and hit continue, is where it's going to place that number. Now I'm going to do this because I think it looks a little nicer. I'm going to left click again, and it should place my number there when I right click and hit continue. And I'll do the same thing for this piece. And I line it up by bringing it up here and get that dotted line. Same thing, left click and then right click and continue. Same thing can be done here. I'm just going to make this one straight, as straight as possible. Left click, right click and continue. I'm going to bring this one. You don't have to put all of your numbers on one side. You can't. It tends to look a little cleaner if you break it up. So I'm going to place one here, continue, one for the blade, line this one up, left click, continue, and same thing for the little rivet that's right here. And I'll just make this one straight out. So left click and continue. So I have all my parts labeled. They match up with my parts list, and I can start the next portion. The next portion we're going to do is the actual assembled view without the exploded. So we're going to go to place views, and remember, save frequently with this. I don't have it currently saved right now, so I'm just I will go ahead and hit the save button so to save it for me, and it's going to ask me to save it. I'm going to save it as Pizza Exploded 7 as a drawing file. Yes to all. Hit OK. So when we go to place the regular assembled view, we're just going to, we can either pick base or if we already had the file placed, we could pick projected, but we're going to pick base, and we're going to navigate to the assembly file. Mine's already in the list. Again, you might have to browse. Remember, we don't want a presentation file this time. We want the assembly. Default view is fine, and then we're going to actually leave shaded selected for this one, and we're going to select 1 to 1, and we're going to flip the view so it looks like this. And I want to leave enough space up here because I'm going to be placing a top view, and I want to leave enough space to the left and the right for side views. So I'm going to place this right about here, place a top view here, and then place the right view right around here. This should be fine. As long as shade is checked, it will have color to it. So we're going to hit OK, and it will place those. The next thing that we want to do is a sectional view. Basically, what would happen if we kind of slice this right down the middle. So the section view is right here, and we do that by selecting this box, and then it gives us a crosshair, and then we find the midpoint. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it. Midpoint, go up a little bit, click, and then go down through here and click again. Once you've done that, you can right click and hit continue, and it's going to basically ask us, where do we want to place this? Well, I want to place the section view over here, about the same distance that I placed this view over here. So I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to be section, but I don't want this view to be colored in. There are situations where you can leave it colored in. We'll do that with the handle, but for now I want you to double click on that box, not the actual part, and turn the shaded option off and hit OK. And it's also going to label it section AA. So we're going to hit OK, and that's where you can change the label if you wanted to. So once you have that sectional view in there, the next thing we're going to do is the individual parts. So to do the parts, it's the same process, and in this case we're going to be placing just side views or front views and a top-down view for each one, with this one having a sectional view. So we'll go ahead and choose base, and we're going to actually navigate to the part that we want to use. So I'm going to open up my folder because my part's not in there. And I've got my arm, blade, cap, guard, and the handle. So handle loaded up. It actually loaded up in the top-down view, which is fine. But I want to make this 1 to 1, so it's actually the right size. And I'm going to place it, but I want to keep in mind that I need to leave room for the rest of these. So I'm going to place this right around here, and then I'm going to hover above it so I can get the side view. And I'm going to leave this one rendered as shaded, and I'm going to have hidden edges on, or hidden lines on, so I can see some of the hidden lines on this one. So I'm going to hit OK, And then I want to section this view just like I did with the other one. So I'm going to section this portion right here. Find that center point, left click and left click, over here, right click and continue. Now this one will be labeled section B because it's our second one, and it will alphabetically label, and if I do another section it will be CC. So you can see the identifier is labeled as B up there, but I'm going to go ahead and place it kind of close. You could space yours a little bit different, and I'm going to leave this one shaded like this, so it looks pretty similar to this one. The only thing that I need to do now with this one is I need to annotate it by using the text box and label it item 1 handle scale 1 1, and that's only if it matches. My item 1 is handle 1, or is the handle, but my item 2, which is the guard, is different. Theirs is item 3. So make sure that you label them correctly. So I'm going to draw a text box, and it doesn't matter, it can be resized. I'm going to change the size to 0.240, and I'm going to use all capitals. So item 1, and then I'm going to put the name of it, and I'm going to capitalize it because I think it looks cleaner. So handle, and then I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to put scale 1 1, just like this. Then I'm going to center it, and I'm going to hit OK. If it was a smaller text, then I'm going to hit escape so I can move this. It wouldn't look quite as nice. So I'm going to move that around a little bit so I can get it centered, and then I have that in place. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to do the next couple of parts and get them in place, and then we'll put on the remaining labels. So again, place views, base, find all my parts. The next part is the guard. Again, 1:1 scale, and it looks like it's placed down here, and here's the first portion of it. Got our side view, and then we have that view. I'm going to hit OK. We want to leave them shaded. So same thing, base, find my next part. In this case, we could do the blade, the item. I'm going to do the cap, I'll do the rivet, and then I'll do the blade. So we got the cap. I'm sorry, not the cap. I'm going to do the arm instead. So we'll do the arm. Bring this over, make sure it's 1:1. Have that one in place. Line it up as close as you can. Same thing. I placed it. It's not perfectly lined up and I can move it later. Hit OK. Now I can load up the cap. It's making the part really big, but 1:1's fine. I accidentally clicked that bottom corner, which is not what I wanted to do. So we'll load up the cap again. Change the scale to 1:1, and then we're going to drag this piece over, I think right about here, and then a piece right there. You can leave the hidden lines on for this one. Hit OK. It's not in a perfect spot, but that's alright. You could make this a little bit bigger if you want to and change the scale. I'm going to leave it 1:1 so that we have room for the blade. I'm going to do the rivet next. Now, being that we're doing the rivet next, I already placed mine, but when you go to place it, make sure that the scale is something around 5:1, and then do the same thing when you place the blade. This one is a 1:1 scale. Just make sure that you have room to put the text boxes so that it looks nice and clean. If you don't have room, you can move stuff around to adjust it. Don't forget, I'm missing the front view of the blade here, so you need to make sure you have that. So you should have a label underneath each of them so that you have something that looks more along the lines like this once you're done with it. So once you have something that looks like this, you can save it, and then you can continue with the next portion.